Good day. We must condemn the attack on Nationwide News Network and make it abundantly clear to those who pull the trigger or those who manipulate the triggermen that we condemn and deplore attempts to intimidate or use violence against the media. They must know they will fail. They must know that an attack on Nationwide is an attack on all media in Jamaica, an attack on press freedom and democracy. It is reprehensible. It is cowardly. It will be pointless because it will not cause the team there to become frightened and to run away. This is the 88th episode of the weekly Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. Thank you for joining us again. Desmond Richards also takes on the gun attack, and Winnie Anderson Brown makes her thoughtful comments. Please subscribe if you haven't yet done so. For full disclosure, I maintain a freelance arrangement with Nationwide News Network. I have commended Cliff Hughes, CEO, and his team for their expressed stance and for making it clear that they will not be frightened or chilled by the attack and by the comments a few days earlier of Dr. Dayton Campbell, the General Secretary of the People's National Party, PNP. On Sunday, September 3, Dr. Campbell, on a political platform, made irresponsible and scurrilous comments stating that Nationwide was an incubator for the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP.
Nationwide is an incubator for the government. An incubator for the government.
At the end of the same week, a gunman drove up to the gate at Nationwide and fired into the parking lot, damaging at least 3 vehicles, and no one was injured. Frankly speaking, we have nothing to tie one event to the other, but these 2 things did happen, which is not, again, not to establish a causal relationship. First, Dr. Campbell has a right to freedom of speech to make comments critical of the media or of individuals in the media or of Nationwide or any other media house. But he was entirely reckless and irresponsible in his statement from that political platform. I borrow from the swift and sound response of the Press Association of Jamaica. In labeling the statement harmful, the PAJ, led by Milton Walker, said, quote, "Such remarks coming from a prominent political figure have the potential to place Nationwide journalists at risk of attacks by political activists and party supporters." I'm inclined to say that Dr. Campbell should know better, but his party leader, Mark Golding, doesn't find anything wrong with Dr. Campbell's comments. Dr. Campbell and Mark Golding must be reminded that in this Jamaican environment, and especially in the election mode in which we find ourselves, when both political major parties command blind loyalty from some supporters, those supporters scarcely reason out some positions and need little motivation or provocation to turn to crudity and violence, frankly speaking. It only takes one of them, one, to believe that a set of people or a radio station or one reporter from a media house is supporting the other side. Frankly speaking, that's all it takes. And none of us can predict what happens after that. A colleague of mine in St. Anne got it right. He said, it takes nothing in the present environment for not even a leader on the platform, but a supporter in the crowd to see or hear you ask a question and decide that you are the enemy and must be dealt with. Frankly speaking, intimidation or irresponsible statements, such as those statements by Dr. Campbell, or the gun attack on Nationwide, all can create a climate of fear and can have a chilling effect on media. That is, it can cause media representatives to pull back, to be less than forthright, and hence not serve the public interest and weaken democracy. And that chilling effect need not necessarily be at the entity or media house seen to be under attack. An attack on one is an attack on all. Now, here is Desmond Richards. His comments were recorded Friday evening, right after the shooting.
Attack on the offices of Nationwide, where a lone gunman opened fire on the office this afternoon. Fortunately, no one was injured. But I can well imagine that the journalists at the station are mentally disturbed. Now, this is an attack on press freedom. And whoever organized this attack, we want them to know that the media will not be intimidated. No, we will not. Never. We will have differences of opinion. And remember, in our democracy, if you want to support the Labour Party, you must be free to do that. If you want to support the People's National Party, you must be free to do that. We can't have the same opinions. What we as journalists do, we don't allow our political or religious beliefs or whatever beliefs we hold to interfere with our work, and that is to gather and disseminate information. That is our job. We are the ones who are charged with that responsibility. And we want those who are firing at us to know that we will not stop. We want the police to go after the attacker and bring him to justice as fast as is possible, because we want those who are planning attacks on the media to fully understand that the journalistic fraternity in Jamaica will not be shaken. We stand guard against, in defense of press freedom, and we will never move.
That's Desmond Richards. And here now is Winnie Anderson Brown, educator and health facilitator.
There was a time when I used to just think of the Jamaican dollar against the US dollar. Regardless of what is happening, I would say what is important to me is how many Jamaican dollars I need to purchase $1 US. We have the tendency to pay attention to only what affects us directly. Have you ever wondered what it would be like not to have the US dollar, or not to use the US dollar for trading purposes? Well, the BRICS summit is over, and BRICS is twice as strong as it was because 6 new nations joined that BRICS bloc. We have Argentina, we have Ethiopia, we have Egypt, we have the United Arab Emirates, we also have Saudi Arabia and Iran. These 6 countries have joined the BRICS bloc. Now that is interesting. Look at the number of oil producing countries that have joined that group. And the most interesting thing is that they have decided to use their own currencies for trade purposes rather than using the US dollar. And on top of it all, there's another group of nations that have made that decision as well. And that is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And there are 10 of them. So in all, 21 countries have decided that they will use their own currencies for trade purposes rather than using the US dollars. Let's watch and see how this plays out. This should be interesting. Is this about the underdog advantage? No one sees you coming, therefore, when you come, there's a surprise. Let's watch and see.
That's Winnie Anderson Brown, educator and health facilitator. That's the 88th episode of Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't yet done so to this channel. On behalf of Winnie Anderson Brown and Desmond Richards, I'm Franklin McKnight. Until then,